February 9, 2024. For some reason, I started thinking about the Way of Japan Belmont Dojo. In a lot of ways, I pretty much grew up there. I still remember we had a small area at the front of the dojo where people could sit on a bench behind a low railing and watch class. The heavy bag hung from the ceiling by a chain, right in front of where the people would watch class. We would take a run at the heavy bag, jump and kick the bag with a front thrust kick. This sent the bag swinging towards the people watching and to the ceiling. Of course, the bag was placed far enough away that it would never come close to the people. They just didn't know that and dive for cover. We thought this was funny. Did I mention we never did this when Sensei was in the building? David, in my early memories of the Belmont Dojo, you are there. In the basement or out back of the dojo, you guys would walk out single file, the who's who. I remember coming to the dojo after reading that tiny ad in the yellow pages. You remember, right? Anyway, Faye was in her office, chain smoking. And she said, Rudy, we'll give you a discount if you bring in 2 buddies. So off I went, dragging 2 of my fellow Pinedale hoodlums back to see Faye. She said, Rudy, there aren't enough of you to start class yet, so kind of hang out. We'll start when you're called soon. One of the first people I remember is Sensei Cleo Martin. Tall, lanky Cleo, messing around with the bag you're talking about, David. I remember one night someone flying through the light paneling that covered the fireplace in the living room, aka dojo floor. Deep inhale. Oh, the memories. To you who were my brothers forged in the flame of Sensei's Shotokan Kinkojuku Os. Thank you for sharing. You are so right. Forged in fire, to be sure. I get lost in those memories at a drop of a hat. Your mention of Faye, Cleo, and even the light paneling all bring back some memories. Sensei used to get us in a circle with our backs to the wall and then punch us lightly in the body. And each time around, he would hit us a little harder to get us used to being hit so that it was no mystery. One night, he hit Mark, Abate, and Mark went into the light paneling. And you could hear glass breaking. Well, Mark was stunned because he didn't know that behind the paneling were glass doors. The look on his face was priceless. You know, I can't help but wonder if we ran into each other when we were younger. I grew up in a house on Bullard across from Lakeside Public Swimming Pool and got to be friends with some of the guys from Pinedale. It's unfortunate that I didn't get to know some of the younger students better, but at that time I was working and going to school and training. My loss. Rudy Lopez. Please feel free to reach out and or share any memories, as we are brothers in a very special group. Os. To Donna Halliburton. Years later, my wife was looking into printing and selling a Fresno-themed calendar. The dojo had been converted to a print shop, so we stopped in to get an estimate. I convinced the owner to let me look around. One of the first things I noticed was the heavy bag indention in the ceiling that I put there. Being there was like being in a time machine. I could picture the first time I saw your father, dressed to the nines, leaning against the wall before I even knew who he was. So many great memories just came flooding back. It was a little overwhelming, in a good way. I remember the Belmont versus Cedar Dojo tournaments, and I was always Team Belmont. In some ways, I always will be. Can't thank your family enough for what they did for so many of us. Os. Donna Halliburton. David Cannon, thank you for sharing your awesome memories. Os. Pat Geston. Great story. Great memories. Thank you, sister. Really did have some great memories there. Jeez, Dad used to drive me to class there twice a week until I was old enough to drive. I never did make a traditional sports team in high school and college, so he never got to be proud of or cheer for his kid. I sort of felt bad about that. But then along came the martial arts, and oh boy, he really enjoyed cheering for his son as I was fighting in tournaments. You definitely knew he was there. David Cannon, March 12, 2015. So Mike Mazie, Can you name the other people in this photo? David Cannon shared a memory, March 12, 2024. Selland Arena, halftime, city-county basketball game. Another lifetime ago, when I was captain of the Way of Japan Shotokan Karate demonstration team, Kumite Demo, Mike Mazie and I, March 10, 2024. Rudy Lopez. We all love David. I remember him. When I first started training at the Way of Japan, I was about 15 years old, and I see David come out of the advanced class all the time. And I'm proud to say he was one of my heroes and will forever be remembered by all of us who trained with him back in the day, 1972. That's when I first met him. Well, actually, I didn't meet him, but I knew who he was. I pray for his wife and his family, and for all of you that were dear to David, and for all of you that are missing David. Love, Brother Rudy. Stephen Wong. Stephen Wong. Sensei Stephen Wong. Please accept our condolences on the loss of Sensei David Cannon. I am so saddened to hear. He was one of the most feared and respected karateka at Way of Japan. Our prayers and thoughts go out to the Cannon family.
I appreciate it to this day.
To this day, yeah. Imagine the surprise when I got a call and says, you know, you have somebody down the lobby waiting for you, and I go down there and I go, Ray?
For all those years.
Yeah. I think you're blowing my cover though with my staff. They all think I'm a nice guy. And those people are sitting there just freaking out because he's telling them all these stories and stuff, and they're going, I think he was a nice guy. I was doing, they're running around. I got a good one. That's great. Oh, you know why I remember that is that remember how they used to have the team matches where they would everyone would fight. You know, Sensei Halliburton, and I got up there and I think I was the last one to fight him. And, you know, and I just by luck, I accidentally touched him, okay? And so they called a point, and I hear my dad out there in the audience, really, really loud, and he goes, "That's right, damn it, you did it!" And I saw Sensei have that little smile on his face, and I go, I know, I'm dead, you know.
Breathe in through the membranous muscular sac and breathe out through the perineal. Come on, inner peace. I don't have all day.